Welcome everyone to another open source live stream that I wish would be more positive. It started with my poll here, very well aware of the latest rise of NeoVim between Vim and Emacs and stuff. And we had a T2 package, maybe even actually we could check this, maybe I edited it. Someone edited it, maybe it was me, maybe not. But I knew it didn't build for quite a while due to Lua. It's like, hey, I edited this, I edited this from Dash. So Dash edited it. So I was aware that it didn't build for me, and that is due to Lua and the sad state of the Lua ecosystem. That is probably a topic for another video. But the short summary, so video is basically like, I need to do work, let's live stream it, let's also show why we still don't have the use of Linux desktop and what kind of ridiculous stuff we have to deal in the open source world, right? Because the issue is also yeah, people want their NeoVim, right? It's like, if in our totally representative poll, 48%, I think this morning was 51. Anyway, more people want NeoVim than also like tree stitcher and all the plugins and stuff, like yeah, all the fancy new good code completion and highlighting stuff. So what is the issue? The issue is that Lua, so it's like a Vim rewrite, refactoring or whatever, or aggressively re-implementing. By the way, we probably want to update the text here also. And also based on Lua, right? And the short thing of Lua is like, Lua was a quite amazing language. Small embeddable scripting language that even we use personally here. I said it before, like once 3 years ago I made a video, our secret sauce here, we have in whole UI, our not Mac but universal Linux and Windows UI is actually fully implemented in Lua, but 5.14, similar to this NeoVim, like they made the same choice like ourselves, because Lua after 5.1, also Lua very old, right? 30 years, it started at Brazil universities, Rio de Janeiro, somewhere around Roberto and his friends. And obviously it vastly transformed. Maybe it's even older than Linux, I need to check. Might have been Lua Wikipedia. Probably I should make a dedicated video, but the long story is, I mean, obviously it changed significantly since the invention, first appeared in 1993, so it's a little bit newer than Linux by 2 years or so. But of course it changed dramatically from the very small configuration language it was initially used in oil drilling software and support stuff. And I would say it peaked with Lua 5.1, which probably is why everyone and ourselves are sticking with it. And I probably need to make a dedicated video that, in my opinion, Roberto I probably should need to remember his name. Roberto I'm so sorry. Name pronunciation. Probably I should just call him Roberto. Roberto I and Louis, Henrik and stuff. Waldemar. All the good people. And I don't understand, I mean, I kind of understand. So the problem is, since Lua 5.1, they drastically changed it, right? Like basically everyone was happy, and then the Lua developers like, here is some new shit, and like everyone's like, we don't want this, right? So they changed after 5.1, they changed new numbers. So they still released 5.46. They introduced new numbers, different whatever, I don't even know the details. Basically the numbers things, so they eventually had dual numbers. Usually Lua was floating point, except if you built it without floating point, so they only had one number type, which was okay on modern hardware anyway. There are the freaking freak. And what the other stuff I didn't even follow, right? They also made other controversial changes. I don't know, maybe error handling or whatever. Basically they added all kinds of stuff that nobody asked for, and incompatibilities. And for me, this dual number that maybe since Lua 5.2, you have integers and floating points, and then like depending on what numeric arithmetic you do, you end up with floating point or integers. And then you have implementation like you index stuff, and then you index tables with float numbers versus int numbers is like nobody asked for this stuff, right? And this is why probably everyone sticks to Lua 5.1. And also Lua has a very high reveling C, if not, or sometimes faster than generic C, especially with SIMD. Luajit implementation that Mike Pyle did for decades, and Mike, similar to everyone else, is like all the new Lua stuff is bullshit. Let's stick to the good old stuff. So Luajit, the super high performance as fast or faster as C implementation, for that reason also stick with the 5.1 feature set. And unfortunately, it's not the most maintained anymore. My understanding is like now with this video, I said I didn't want to make a full summary. Yeah, here was a full summary. But so the thing is, like, if you want to use the high performance JITted version of Lua for magnitude or 2 orders of higher performance, you stick with 5.1 with the sane, and everyone wants to use feature set 5.1 anyway. Unfortunately, Mike Pyle, similar to ourselves, although he got probably some 10,000s of sponsoring over the years, wanted to step down, maybe even 100,000, I don't know. There were the times I remember like $10,000 here, 10,000 do they have here? Not that it would matter so much, but although yeah, here's some 5,000. Oh, he's calculating in euro. So I don't know if in total he got 50,000 or whatever. It's like 5,000 here, 5,000 there, 10,000 there. Who knows what? But so being one of the more successful open source projects and actually getting some big sponsorships here and there, even he says, nah, this is not really feasible to maintain it. Although I got some 50,000, who knows what over the years. Ballpark estimate of me. It's like, yeah, even 10,000s of hard-earned euros are not enough. And my recollection is like 2 years or so ago, he said like, I'm done maintaining it. He kept it like a little bit maintained, but like eventually said like, I'm done. But to my surprise, he came back and keeps updating it a little bit. But here I'm also disappointed that he doesn't release it. Like he's like, yeah, releases suck. Like just grab some random version that works for you. It's like, I really hate this, right? It's like he has one of the most high performance JIT things, it's like, and then too lazy. I mean, I'm not even asking to maintain it for free, similar to ourselves. I totally understand, like, if you don't get money, but it's like, hey, if you already keep it maintained a little bit, like, maybe make a release, like, call it 2.0, and it's like, I don't understand what people, I mean, sure, maybe he knows, like, there are bugs, I don't want to release it, like, but, like, come on, all software has bugs, let just, like, each time you fix something at the .1 or whatever, like, at least we have released, because now what I did today, someone, T2, now, our Linux distribution so successful, we had a freaking Git issue, right? Someone opened like, hey, you ship an old version of Logit. It's like, hey, we shipped the release. Like, it's not our fault that people don't do releases anymore. Like 2023, people don't release Tawalt anymore. So I finally updated, like, I really hate, like, I would normally not package Git snapshots unless, like, totally necessary, because 5-year-old crap. Thank you very much. This is close works, Luajit. It's like, yeah, someone filed an amazing, dedicated bug report, highly appreciated it. Today I finally jumped, I updated it. Why do I say this? I say this to summarize, like, in what peril we are here, right? It could be so amazing. Lua was amazing, Luajit was and is releasing, and yet the Lua upstream developers develop it to some silly, imperfect state of strange features that nobody really asks for and wants to use. And then Luajit is also not really maintained. So Mike Pyle, my understanding is, like, after announcing I'm stepping down, probably because other people forked it and did some shit, is my, like, as usual, people think they can do everything like ourselves, and then they maintain stuff to a non-working state, and like, probably also like fat finger, like white spaces and style and delete stuff and YOLO stuff. And my outside impression, 700 kilometers away from him, is I think he became, like, he wanted to step down, but he probably didn't like what people forked Luajit into and maintained it to crap, that he probably came back, like Mike Pyle probably came back and maintained it a little bit just so that there are not super crappy forks out of that, is my personal outside impression without having further inside knowledge. If anything of my summary, as usual, is incorrect, then please cracked me down. So the problem is, why do I say this? Like NeoVim is heavily based on Lua, and now we have the issue that everything is incompatible, right? So why did I give you a 10-minute summary? Because so that is the set, like basically how to ruin, like how to invent an amazing, some would say better than Python or certainly better than Perl or PHP, an amazing minimal scriptable language, and then ruin it in a decade later. And what a mess that creates. And the problem is, of course, I mean, it could have happened with Microsoft, right? If Microsoft had Visual Basic and then they maintain it to shit, it would be the same, right? But the thing is, of course, with the democracy here, and everyone does what they want to do, and now we have everyone in the open source world on this open source bazaar. It's not a cathedral, except wait a second, the analogy doesn't even work in most, because actually Lua actually takes us back, because the problem is Lua is a cathedral. Actually, you know what? This is maybe the difference between a cathedral and a bazaar, because Lua is run very tightly by the core developers in Rio de Janeiro also, around Roberto I. And the problem is, probably the problem has arisen because it's not a democracy, but a cathedral dictatorship. And they just developed stuff that nobody wanted. And the democracy says, no, we don't want it, we stick with Lua 5.1. And so the thing is, for open source, or not open source, the thing is not for operating system vendors like ourselves, or any other of the 1000 or 2013 Linux distributions, is now like what to ship, right? We ship the latest version of Luajit, which is 5.1 API compatible, and we updated over the years. I mean, I refused to update Lua because I knew everything after Lua 5.1 is somehow questionable, ridiculous state of set development. Then eventually I updated because, like, yeah, new version, view of Lua 5.2, 5.3, 5.4. But I mean, basically, the problem is now other distributions ship it multiple times. So what should we do? Stick with a decade-old version because that's the only version that is sane and people use. The other thing is, like, if you then have packages, because the other thing is that this requires additional packages, right? It needs at least LPAC. And now the next thing is, nearly live delete my Linux kernel. The other thing is, I'm not even sure if LPAC, which is a Lua pattern matching modern kind Lua LPAC, modern parsing expression grammars for Lua, which they also use, of course. I'm not even sure if the latest LPAC version is compatible, and this is why then you end up shipping all these different kinds of versions, right? Maybe what I do for this video, maybe I the problem is even that takes probably an hour, right? I'm not even sure. Probably we should check which other Lua modules NeoVim needs. Another thing is you could custom build Lua, but even Wireshark is. Wait a second. What does even Wireshark use, or do they? So you see, Lua is highly popular, even used in lots of AAA games, and Wireshark and no, not Wireshark, WireGuard. The packet filter and sniffer stuff. So Wireshark is using that for all the package dissection and pretty printing and so on. And so yeah, other distributions, I quickly googled a bit. A lot of distributions ship multiple versions, but that of course totally sucks, right? Like Lua, like Python 2 and Python 3, really silly, nonsensical stuff in my opinion. Because then the problem is, like, what always to use, right? Sure, you can always, but it's also such a burden and work, right? You need to. I built this without dependencies. Maybe I should have built it with missing anyway. I'm not even sure. So this is a VM. Maybe it's not the smartest idea to build this on my server, because it probably needs Qt5 or whatever. Or maybe I have it already. But so yeah, So basically every route, every path we would take is a path that sucks, right? Either packaging multiple versions, sticking with the old version, so then you don't have the new version, and then you can only stick with the old version until some package, like maybe some developer totally likes it, this dual number and who knows what features, and then some like window manager or so, maybe Wayland compositor or whatever, maybe someone wants to use Lua 5.3 or 5.4, and then eventually you have some package that requires it, like, you know, we configured. We're building Wireshark, amazing. By the way, I slightly wonder, let's waste some CPU cycles. I slightly wonder what is, it's estimating 1 minute 54. Yeah, Lua changes, do they leave listed? Maybe we can have some quick recent changes. Installing about. Do they have a list of summary for version history? Maybe. Here probably main new features, jiltable p calls, a meta method. That's of course a nicer thing. New lexical schema for globals, ephemeral tables, new library, bitwise operations, light C functions, emergency garbage collector. I mean, most of the stuff is actually not too bad. I mean, go to statement. Luajit actually implements some features that make sense. Finalizers and tables. So 5.3. Bitwise, so yeah, the main features are integers, so basically Lua 5.3, this integer feature is not what next to nobody used for, and causes a lot of strange implementation, like think JavaScript strange behaviors, like of this what, it's this JavaScript what, it's like what. Bitwise operations, of course, Luajit had implemented previously. This is like not too much of, I'm not even sure how they precisely implemented that, but basic UTF-8 library, which is not too bad, but I mean, yeah, probably in 2023 you want something like that, or actually 2015, I don't know. 5.4, 2020, new generational mode, garbage collection, const, to be closed variables. I mean, yeah, some strange features. Actually, I think they implemented const strange. Where are these const? I believe they used a really strange annotation for Lua 5.4 const. It's really strange colon, or I don't know, is it just const? Constant to be close, closer, so ever. Was the syntax not stranger? Or was it's const. Okay, I remembered something with a colon, but maybe that was a proposal years ago. I would even say, I mean, yeah, it's not too bad, but it is also, I could say not just have used const. Probably the argument was then someone could have used const in their old code, but nah, you probably would have had to port your old code. Yeah. Where is this? Anyway. Okay, Wireshark build, what did they use? Because currently I only have Luajit installed. Check for one of the modules, Lua less than 5.2. So they probably could not find Lua, missing Lua version required at least version 5.1. Does it mean, what is it doing then? Lua required version, not really sure what it's falling optional. Oh, this is optional. I thought Wireshark is heavily based upon it. Okay, maybe this is optional. Maybe you don't have packet dissections in. Anyway, so yeah, you have the same here, and also Lua 5. So they check also for Lua less than 5.299. So basically, nearly nobody really wants to touch Lua dual version stuff. It is so sad. So basically, I can, after talking about the, I wanted to package some stuff and only talked about the sad state of the Lua ecosystem. So basically, yeah, I probably rename the video. So that is a set state of the Lua ecosystem and basically how you can run otherwise promising language in just a decade. And also basically a study, another example and case study for what not to do, right? Do not, like if nobody asks for stuff, then maybe don't do it. And I mean, I can understand how people get sidestepped or carried away. It's probably people get carried away. It's like, I understand they sit there and this is just the feature they want. Also, I can barely see how you would want dual number of, I mean, sure, you have dual number in C and every other language, but Lua was small, simple, understandable, dependable, and in my opinion, and probably most other people's opinion, this dual number of, and then also implementation, like you get basically a handful of strange indexing tables with integer versus floats and other such like unexpected behavior. And basically, sure, I can understand you want more than, what is it, 53 bits or so of mantissa in 64-bit floating point. What do we have here? Because you can represent in binary extended, binary, what? Where are we here even? 52, probably. Did I say 53? Yeah, 52. I mean, I understand it's not always enough to only have like reliable 52-bit of integer range when you would need 64 for floating points, like, yeah. But anyway, that is how to probably not develop a language and what mess of an ecosystem as a result this results in. I will probably, yeah, let's continue another video. Let's keep it short so people can better choice what they want. If you use Lua, like leave in the comments below, have you used Lua? Do you like all the version development? What is your take on this stuff? Or other ecosystem disasters of Python 2 versus 3 and Perl 6. And yeah, hope you enjoyed to learn something. Let's continue with another live stream of trying to get this stuff to build.